A few hours later, I heard someone waking me up.
Hey, Erica, wake up!
It was my husband. Well, come home.
What are you doing?
What?
What are these appetizers? My parents are here and you bought these cheap appetizers. I told you to do it right today, didn't I?
Yeah, that's what your father...
Now get up and start cooking. I'll throw this stuff away.
Hey! My name is Erica. I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I have a boyfriend named Sean. I met him at a blind date and he made a fierce approach to me. He was kind and funny and I was immediately attracted to him. Then, a year after we started dating, he proposed to me. The answer, of course, was yes. I was so happy that I was going to marry the man I loved so much. My parents also liked him and congratulated us on our marriage. His parents were also very nice people, and I knew we would have a very happy marriage life. After that, the wedding and the honeymoon went well, and we started our new life. I was very happy and enjoying my new life with my husband. Then I got pregnant. On top of being happy, another wonderful event, and I felt the greatest happiness in my life. My husband was also very happy about the baby. I'm going to work harder, he said. However, I think my husband had the wrong idea about working. Even though I was suffering from morning sickness, he was working a lot of overtime to increase his income. I was so worried about having a baby for the first time, and I wanted him to come home early if he could. But it was not easy for me to tell this to my husband, who was working hard for me and the baby. Then, when 6 months had passed and I entered a stable period in my pregnancy, I decided to take both paid and maternity leave to take a break from my work. But I guess that had the opposite effect for my husband. He seemed to think I was bored at home and didn't do any housework anymore. When we first got married, we were both working, so we shared the household chores. Also, when I got pregnant, he took the initiative to do the housework because he was concerned about my health. But when he started working more overtime, he helped with the housework less and less, and I had to do it all by myself. I was feeling quite stressed out, and one day I had a run-in with my husband. He didn't work overtime and came home early that day. Oh, welcome back. You're home early today.
Yeah. By the way, what's for dinner?
I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well, so I was lying down until just now. And I was going to start cooking now.
Oh, I was able to come home early today, and how come there isn't any food?
What?
You're a stay-at-home wife, so you should do better.
I'm trying my best to do things right. Besides, the reason I'm taking time off work is because I'm pregnant and not feeling well. You should at least understand that.
Are you saying it's my fault? Don't blame me for your own inadequacies.
I didn't say it like that. I'm just saying that we are a couple and we need to support each other. What I want from you right now is not to work as hard as you do. I want you to be here for me and help me with the housework as much as possible.
In short, you want to slack off.
What? Why is that?
Because if you are going to be home all the time and depend on me to do the housework, it's nothing but just slacking off.
That's enough. I'm going to have the baby back home.
What do you mean?
I'm saying I'm going home to my parents for a while. I'm not coming back here until the baby is born. When I say that, my husband said, "Oh, really? Do whatever you want." And he stormed out of the house. I felt sad and wondered why it went so wrong. I cried alone in the house. I wondered if I would be happy to give a birth in this situation. After that, I went back to my parents' house and took it easy with their support. It seemed that I had been under a lot of stress. After resting at my parents' house, my physical condition improved considerably. Then, about 2 months after I started living at my parents' house, my husband and in-laws suddenly came to visit. I hadn't had any contact with my husband since I went back to my hometown, so I was puzzled by the fact that they came out of the blue. Apparently, they wanted to apologize to me. It seems that my in-laws had come to the house where my husband and I live because they were worried about my health. They were surprised to see that I was gone. Then when they asked my husband what was going on there, he told them that I had gone back to my hometown after a fight. They grabbed my husband by the neck and came to my parents' house.
Erica, I'm really sorry about our stupid son. We gave him a big lecture. He doesn't understand how hard and painful pregnancy is. Come on, you apologize too. Erica, I'm sorry.
My husband bowed his head saying apologize.
It's okay. I'm sorry I got emotional too.
And we were able to reconcile. My in-laws are really nice people. I don't know what would have happened if they hadn't come in to mediate this time. And then the baby was born, a healthy baby girl. My husband was very happy about the birth of our daughter. I took her with my back to the house where I lived with my husband. After maternity leave was over, I took a childcare leave and devoted myself to raising my baby. But taking care of the baby was harder than I had expected. My daughter cried a lot at night. Because of this, I could hardly sleep at night. I woke up in the morning exhausted, made lunch for my husband, and did housework. One day, I reached my limit. I fell asleep with my daughter while I was putting her to bed. It was already nighttime and my husband woke me up. "Oh, I'm sorry. I knew I was in trouble. I hadn't prepared anything for dinner. He might get angry at me like he did before." My husband gave me an annoyed look, but didn't get mad. He said, "Next Saturday, my parents are coming to celebrate the birth of the baby, so you better be on top of things then." I remembered that my mother-in-law had contacted me just before. "It's already coming up next week. I was concentrating on taking care of my baby, and the day of the celebration came in the blink of an eye. Well, I have to go to work in the morning. Okay. Make sure to prepare the decent meal for my parents, okay? Yes, I will. Although my husband don't get angry anymore. He still seems to underestimate the difficulties of taking care of a baby. After he left for work, my daughter had just fallen asleep and I was ready to start cooking. Then suddenly the doorbell rang. Who is in the world at this time? I answered. And to my surprise, it was my parents-in-law. What happened? You were supposed to come over this afternoon, weren't you? I'm so sorry coming all of a sudden. I was just thinking that you must be trying very hard to make a feast. Look, I bought appetizers, so we can all eat this together. Oh, he picked them out and brought them for you. Oh, really? Thank you. That's when my daughter started crying. Apparently, the sound of the doorbell woke her up when the in-laws came over. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry we woke her up. Erica, is she crying a lot at night? How do you know? Sean cried a lot too, so I thought she might be like that too. Then, Erica, you haven't slept much, have you? I'll take care of her. You can get some rest in the meantime. Get some good rest. I'll go and buy the booze and other drinks. Let me know if you need anything else. Thank you for everything, Mother and Father. So I decided to listen to them and get some rest. I lay down on the couch and slept. A few hours later, I heard someone waking me up. Hey, Erica, wake up! It was my husband's voice. Welcome home. What are you doing? What? What are these appetizers? My parents are here and you bought these cheap appetizers. I told you to behave today. Oh, that's your father. Now get up and start cooking. I will throw this stuff away. Hey! My husband grabbed the appetizers and was about to throw them away, so I tried to stop him. There's no way I can serve this to my mom and dad. So these were... I was about to explain when I heard a loud voice behind me. Hey, what are you doing? It was my father-in-law's voice. Apparently, he just got home. My mother-in-law, who went for a walk with my daughter, was also with him. Hi, Dad. Listen to me. I told her you were coming today, but she slept in and didn't even cook. And she tried to cover it up by buying these cheap appetizers. I'm going to throw this away, so just wait a little longer. I'll have Erica cook something now. Your father bought those. He looked at me and froze. What did you say? That's the appetizers your father picked up and brought for us. I've been trying to tell you this. Oh no. My husband's face instantly turned pale. My father-in-law came closer to my husband with a very scary look on his face. I'm sorry I picked cheap appetizers. No. It's just, what the hell is your problem? You don't care about Erica at all. I thought you changed your mind after I scolded you the other day before the baby was born. You haven't changed at all. I'm sorry. Just then, we heard a message notification on my husband's phone. His phone was on the dining table. My mother-in-law, who was closest to the phone, saw the screen. "Sean, who is this Karen?" "Oh no." "You forgot your cigarettes and lighter. Next time you come back, make sure you take them with you." "Sean, what is this?" "Well, that's, I thought you were going to work. Who is this woman? Karen?" My husband seemed to realize he couldn't get away with it and confessed to the affair. "You've got to be kidding me!" My father-in-law's iron fist exploded on my husband. He got down on his knees and apologized to me in tears. "Well, it was just a case of the devil getting the better of me." He tried to excuse himself, but I couldn't trust him anymore. "I can't do this anymore. Please, let's divorce." "Oh, no," my in-laws say. "Of course you should get a divorce. I'm sorry for all the trouble my stupid son has caused you." They apologized. "I'll make him do whatever you want about the divorce." With that, my parents-in-law took my husband out of the house and went back to their house. Later, my parents-in-law came to my house with the divorce papers. They told me that they made my husband tell them about the affair. The adulterer was a junior employee of the same company. To my dismay, they had been having an affair since I was pregnant. He was not working overtime, but meeting secretly. I filed for alimony against my husband and the adulterer, and child support for my husband. Since my in-laws were with him, my husband could reject and agree to my demands. So, we got divorced. My ex-husband was told by his parents that they would pick his rotten guts out. My ex-husband is forced to live a life of daily surveillance, going back and forth between work and home. Also, my ex-husband paid alimony direct to me, but my in-laws paid me a lump sum of child support money, which was a considerable amount. My ex-husband will have to pay back to his parents little by little. My in-laws also manage my ex-husband's salary and give him an allowance every month. It's a very inconvenient life, but it's all his fault. On the other hand, I returned to my parents' house, and with the help of my parents, I went back to work. My daughter has grown up so well, and she makes me happy with her cute smile every day. I will continue to work hard for her and take good care of her. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like. See you next time.
Kate, what's up at this hour? Where are you right now? You ask where I am? I'm on a spa vacation with Luna. Oh, I see. I found everything out when my husband lied to me. My name is Kate. I'm a 30-year-old office worker. I've been married to my husband, Daniel, for 6 years. We have a 6-year-old daughter, Luna, because we married during my pregnancy. Luna is growing up to be a very good girl. Mom, I'll help you. Really? Then can you roll the hamburger patties like this? Yes, I'll do it. There you go. Oh, Luna, you're so good at this. Here's one for Dad, and here's one for Mom. That's a big one for Daddy. Daddy's got a hard day at work, so he's got to eat the big one. Daddy might cry with happiness. While I was enjoying cooking with my daughter, my husband came out of the bath. She hugged him and said, "I made you hamburger, Daddy." My husband was also happy and said, "Really? I can't wait to eat it." We were spending our days as a very happy family like this. Or so I thought. My husband and I both work, but he works closer to his office than I do, and he does less overtime. For this reason, I often ask my husband to pick up our daughter from kindergarten. But recently, due to various work commitments, he's been coming home late. So I had to pick her up and take her home. I wonder if Daddy doesn't like me anymore. My daughter said sadly on the way home from kindergarten. I guess she misses him because my husband has been picking her up all this time. Besides, it's late at night when he comes home. There's even a day when he doesn't get to see her face. I stroked her head, even though my heart was breaking. Daddy's working very hard for Luna right now. But when he gets settled down, he will be able to spend a lot of time with you. Really? Yes. So let's support him together with Mommy. Okay, I'll cook for him. She's a really good girl. I can't wait until we can eat together as a family again. But a few months later, my husband was still busy with work. He came home late. And no matter how late he used to be, he was always home in time for the last train. But now he comes home at 2 or 3 a.m., or even worse, he takes the first train home in the morning. Hey, are you sure it's work? If you're just out drinking, I wish you'd come home and play with Luna. I couldn't stand it any longer and complained to my husband. My daughter has been left alone by her father for months, and she looks very sad. But my husband didn't like what I said, so he got upset. Huh? What's with that tone of voice? I attend company drinking parties for the sake of my family. It's terrible of you to accuse me of that. Whoa, okay, I'm sorry. But you have to understand that Luna is lonely because she doesn't get to play with her dad. I said this to him, and he shut up and went straight to the bedroom. After that, an awkward atmosphere began to prevail between us. Then, I was told by the company that I needed to go on a short business trip. Depending on the work situation, there are a lot of things I needed to check in person. It seems I'll have to stay at least one night. If it's bad, it might be 2 nights. My first thought was what to do with my daughter. My parents live far away, so it would be difficult for them to come. I would have to rely on my husband, but seeing how busy he's been lately, I don't know if I can trust him with her. But I have no choice but to ask him. So I waited for him to come home. I wondered if he had been drinking as usual, and he came home late. It was way past midnight, and around 3 o'clock, I heard the door unlock. Welcome home. Kate, I didn't know you were still up. My husband didn't expect me to be awake and waiting for him. I waited for you because I wanted to talk to you. Huh? Talk? The moment he came home, my husband was drunk and his face was red. He seemed to have sobered up at once, and now he was pale. He sat down on a chair at the dining table, looking at me. So, what did you want to talk about? It's not such a big deal, but why is he so upset? I told him about my business trip, thinking how strange he was. It was a short notice, but I had to go on a business trip in 2 weeks on Friday. I had to stay at least one night, and if I have a lot of work to do, I have to stay 2 nights. Can you take care of Luna during that time? I know you're busy with your work, I said apologetically, and my husband looked relieved. Oh, that's totally fine. Really? Are you okay at work? Of course I'm busy at work, but I should prioritize you and Luna. Oh, how about I take a day off and take Luna on an overnight hot spring trip? I haven't been able to play with Luna lately. I'm sure Luna would love that. I'm glad my husband said that. I knew he cared about our family. Until recently, I was worried about whether he really cared about us or not. But it seems that my fears were unfounded. The next day, on the way to take my daughter to kindergarten, I told her about it. What? Daddy and I can go on a hot spring trip together? My daughter was so happy and excited. Seeing her happy made me happy too. And then the day of the business trip came. It was my first business trip after giving birth to Luna, but it went smoother than I had expected. The people I saw on the business trip were very good and kept everything in order for me to check. The work went by so smoothly that I found myself finishing at 7 p.m. that day. I thought, if I'm already finished, I can go home today. I didn't know if I was staying 1 night or 2 nights without seeing the status of my work. I was planning to spend the first day at a manga cafe instead of staying at a hotel, so there's no cancellation fee for lodging or anything. Now I would be able to make it in time on the last train of the day if I get a ticket. I decided that I wanted to spend a relaxing time at home if I had to. I boarded the train in a hurry and headed home. My husband and daughter must be having a delicious meal at a hotel by now. The image of my daughter looking so happy came to my mind and soothed my heart. Yes, tomorrow morning I would wake up early, make the house spanking clean, and surprise them both. Thinking of this, I returned home around 11 p.m. I wondered why the light was on in the living room. Could it be that my husband forgot to turn it off? With a quizzical look on my face, I went inside the house. There I found my daughter curled up on the sofa, crying. Oh, Luna, what's wrong? Mommy! Why are you crying? Where is Daddy? My husband was nowhere to be seen. I was so upset that I started to ask my daughter questions. Then she told me, Daddy left in the morning without me. What? What the hell is going on? What was my husband thinking? I was furious at my husband's insane behavior, but I had to calm her down first. I hugged her tightly. I'm so sorry. I know you were lonely being alone so late at night. As I hugged her and stroked her head, my daughter, perhaps feeling relieved, began to fall asleep in my arms. I guess she was tired of being scared and nervous all the time. I gently carried her into the bedroom. Then I went back into the living room and called my husband. Kate, why are you calling at this hour? Where are you now? I'm on a spa trip with Luna. Why are you whispering? Luna is already tired and sleeping. I don't want to wake her up. Oh, I see. I'm sure she's sleeping, but she's not over there. I figured it all out when my husband lied to me. I was about to lose my temper, but I managed to keep my cool. How's the trip going? I'm having so much fun. I wouldn't mind staying another night. The food is good, and the hot springs are great. Well, why don't you stay one more night then? I said so, and my husband sounded like he was having a hard time deciding. But Kate, you will come home after one night, right? Then you will be lonely all by yourself, so me and Luna will come back tomorrow. I'm sure it's because if I arrive first, I'll find out that he left her daughter at home. I knew exactly what my husband was thinking, so I decided to lie. Well, I got a lot of work to do, and I'm going to be home later than I planned. I'll have to stay another night. So don't worry about me and enjoy your trip as long as you like. He didn't even question my lie. Really? Then I'll postpone it for one more night. Luna is very excited. I'll have to give her more time with her daddy. I couldn't give her much attention in the last month. Well, make sure you call me when you know when you're coming home. My daughter's excited? What are you talking about? She was curled up and crying by herself. I calmed my urge to yell at him and hung up the phone. I'll see to it that he gets punished for the grief he caused my daughter. I called my parents and explained the situation. I quickly started packing up my stuff and called the movers the next morning. Fortunately, there was a company that could come today, so I asked them to move my stuff out. My daughter looked at me strangely as she saw many men coming in and moving things out of the house. I'll have to have a talk with her. Luna, I have decided not to live with your dad anymore. I don't want you to be sad anymore. I'm going to quit my job and go live with your grandma and grandpa. Then I can spend more time with you. If you come with me to grandpa and grandma's house, you won't be able to see your dad anymore. So what do you want to do? I thought it was cruel to ask such a question to my daughter who is only 6 years old. But I wanted to hear her opinion. Will I never see my daddy again? She asked me in a muffled voice. If you really want to see him, I can let you see him once in a while. But he won't be able to live with us anymore. My daughter has done nothing wrong, and I'd like her to at least see him if she wants to. Well, I don't think he'll make the time for her after the divorce anyway.
seeing that he went on vacation leaving his own daughter alone at home. As I was thinking about all of this, my daughter seemed to have made up her mind. She looked me straight in the eyes as if she had made up her mind and said, "I'm going with you, Mommy. Daddy probably doesn't care about me." I cried and asked him, "Why are you leaving me?" But he left without answering me. I'm really disgusted of him to make his 6-year-old daughter say things like that just to go on a vacation with his adulterer. He's a lousy man and a lousy father, a lousy piece of trash below the bottom of the barrel. I should have never left my daughter with my husband and gone on a business trip if this was going to happen. Luna, I'm so sorry for making you so sad. I hugged her tightly and we got to work on the move. As for my husband, I would leave the rest to them. With that in mind, I took my daughter and went back to my parents' house. A few hours later, I got a phone call from my husband. "Hey, why is your stuff missing? And Luna's stuff too. What the hell is going on?" "Don't you know why?" "Of course not. Luna's crying because her stuff is gone too." "You still think you can lie to me after all of this?" "It's strange. Luna is now slurping down some noodles which my mother made." "What?" "We already know that you left your daughter and went on a trip with someone else. How could you leave a 6-year-old girl alone at home? You are not qualified as a father. If I hadn't come back on that day, you could have traumatized Luna for her entire life." My husband didn't think I'd already be with my daughter. He's quiet, unable to say anything. "Anyway, you don't care about your daughter and leave her alone just to go to another woman. I can't live with you anymore. I want a divorce." "Divorce? Oh no. Please think about it again." "I can't. I don't want to see you anymore." While my husband and I were on the phone, I heard the doorbell ring many times over the phone. "Oh God, who is it at a time like this?" My husband sounded annoyed. But I knew who it was. "Looks like they've arrived." "Dad and Mom?" I heard my husband's voice over the phone. And a few seconds later, I heard my father-in-law yell, "What the hell are you doing?" And then a few seconds later, I heard a loud noise. Well, that's a start. I guess that was the sound of him getting beaten up. In fact, my father-in-law practiced judo for many years and now he's an advisor at a university. And he loved his granddaughter, Luna, very much. So when I told him about my husband's infidelity and the fact that he left our daughter alone on a trip, he was furious. He told me he was going to beat his rotten guts out of him. So I decided to ask him for a favor. "What the hell do you think you're doing with your own daughter? I didn't raise you to be such an asshole." I could hear the thoughts and thoughts over and over again, along with my stepfather's angry voice. It's an apartment, but I'm glad we lived on the first floor. If there are people downstairs, they would have complained. Well, we've already moved out, so it doesn't concern me anymore. My father-in-law seemed to have put my husband a big squeeze on him, both physically and mentally. After that, the divorce settlement went smoothly. I got custody, of course, and alimony and child support were paid in one lump sum. I was able to get alimony from the adulterous partner too. My husband tried to remarry the adulterer, but the affair was just for fun for her. She said he was too serious and dumped him because she didn't want to get married. At work, he feels ashamed of himself for having committed adultery. His parents disowned him, the affair partner left him, and his daughter left him too. So he's left with nothing but debt. He really deserves it. On the other hand, I'm spending happy time with my daughter at my parents' house. My parents are farmers, so I help them. My daughter enjoys eating vegetables from the farm. She seems to like this town where there's a lot of nature. I will continue to put my daughter first in my life. Leaving your young daughter alone on an adulterous trip? You should have gone to the police and had your husband arrested. I hope Luna isn't too heartbroken. Still, it's a nice feeling that your husband finally lost everything. Kate, I hope you stay happy with your daughter.
My parents are coming to stay at our house for 3 days starting next Friday. Then my husband opened his eyes wide and said to me, "What? I don't want them to stay here. It'll be too tiring and crowded." What? Don't just say things like that out of the blue. Do you really have no common sense? I heard something snap inside me. What about you then? You always tell me in the morning of the day that your parents are coming and leave everything to me to take care of them. Too tiring and crowded? That's how I feel every time your parents come over. It's not your place to tell people about common sense. My husband's face turned red and he started yelling at me. My name is Anna, a 35-year-old housewife. My husband Sam and I have been married for 5 years. We live together with our 5-year-old daughter, Amy, who was born soon after our marriage. Life is pretty normal, and I'm happy that my daughter is growing up so well. However, I recently acquired another happiness. It's a dream home. We built a new house with the ideal layout, beautiful and spacious, and the best kitchen. I work from home and I have my own room to work in. I have my own quiet room where I can concentrate my work in peace. My daily life is so comfortable and I'm so happy. However, my happy life will turn into hell in just 1 month. My parents are coming over today, so please take care of them. Oh, today too? Do you have any problem? Well, they just came last week too. What's with that tone? I'm doing my duty to my parents. You should at least cooperate a little. Your duty to your parents? I should cooperate a little? You just invite them, but you don't do anything. I'm the one who takes care of them and do everything for them. And why are you telling me this on the day they come? Don't be rude to them. My husband said that and left for work. And then my in-laws came. Finally, we're here. Anna, please make me some tea. But couldn't you have built it a little closer to our house? It's too far away. It's hard to come here every time. I don't want to ever build a house near. My in-laws are relaxed, as if it were their own house, and start asking me to do all kinds of things. I tried to work in my room as much as I could, but my in-laws kept calling me, and I couldn't get anything done. Because of this, I have to work after they go to bed in the middle of the night. Moreover, once my in-laws come, they stay over for 3 days. So I have to leave like this for 3 days. I get less sleep, more stress from all the things that I have to do for them, and my skin and mind are in a horrible state. Moreover, my father-in-law starts smoking in the garden without permission, and my mother-in-law starts leaving her personal belonging in the guest rooms. It's so heavy to bring my stuff every time. The guest room, which was so clean, became untidy at once. Every time I see it, it makes me down. And my father-in-law, who smells like cigarette, wanders around the house, which contaminates the fresh scent of the new home. And there's another reason why I don't like my in-laws. They don't love our daughter. Normally, grandparents think their grandchildren are cute, but not my parents-in-law. When my daughter asked my parents-in-law to play with her, they refused, saying they were too busy now. Then, when my daughter was playing alone in the garden, my father-in-law, who was smoking a cigarette, yelled at her, "You're in my way and you're annoying me." I heard my daughter crying and rushed to the garden to care for her. After that, my daughter never goes near my in-laws. When the in-laws would come over, she would ask, "Can I stay in your room, Mommy?" And she would read quietly in my room. I thought this was not good for her upbringing, so I asked my husband about it. "Hey, I would like you to stop having your parents over every week." "Oh, why?" "Amy's scared of them. The other day your father said she was in the way of him smoking, and he yelled at Amy while she was playing in the garden. That's terrible. Right? You should say something to your father about it too." "No, I mean Amy." "What?" "Dad loves his cigarette time. It's not okay to interrupt that. She deserves to be yelled at." "What are you talking about?" "You're the one who's supposed to teach Amy proper manners. That's what happens when you don't discipline her." "You think it's my fault? Who else could it be?" "You're a housewife. You've got to get it together." "Huh, I work too." "Work from home?" "You don't make that much money, so don't be so arrogant. A wife's job is to take care of the house. You do everything halfway, earning money, the housework, and raising the kid. Don't you dare talk back to me." "That's impossible. What a terrible man." Before we built our house, my in-laws didn't come over at all. And I was busy raising our child, so my husband and I didn't have this much conflict. But now that we've built our new house, I feel as if I've discovered my husband's true nature for the first time. I had no idea he was such a horrible man. Incidentally, my parents-in-law continued to do whatever they want after that. I was really upset when my mother-in-law decided to have a tea party at our house with her neighbors. She suddenly brought about 5 ladies to our house. They told me to make a pot of tea to go with the tea cakes. They asked me to entertain them. They also ordered me to prepare something to eat for them because they were hungry. I hurried, went to a department store and bought some food for them, and I had to pay for everything. It's not what I wanted to do, but if I refuse even just a little bit, my mother-in-law would tell my husband. After that, my husband would snap at me like he did the other day. It's less damaging to me if I just go along with it. Then my mother called me out of the blue. She told me that she and my father were coming to Tokyo on vacation since my father had a few days off from work. First, they were going to visit my brother and his wife, and then they wanted to visit me and my husband. I was so happy to finally be able to show my parents my new house. My husband's in-laws stay with us all the time, so I will have my parents stay with us too. I decided to tell my husband about this plan. My husband always brings his parents without asking me, but I didn't want to be on the same level as my husband. so I decided to tell him in advance. My parents are coming to stay here for 3 days starting next Friday. Then my husband opened his eyes wide and said to me, "What? I didn't want them to stay here. It will be too tiring and crowded." Don't just say things like that out of the blue. Do you really have no common sense? I heard something snap inside me. What about you then? You always tell me in the morning of the day that your parents are coming and leave everything to me to take care of them. You blame me for the terrible things that they do to our daughter. Too tiring and crowded? That's how I feel every time your parents come over. It's not your place to tell people about common sense. My husband's face turned red and he started yelling at me. Shut up, your wife. It's only natural that you should take care of your husband's parents. It's your job to take care of our daughter too. Unlike you, I go out to work and I'm busy with my job. I can't go through the stress of trying to please your parents. I will never allow them to stay here. I see. I was wrong. You finally understand. You really are a pain in the ass, aren't you? What are you talking about? I said I was wrong to expect anything from you. Huh? I can't believe you're such an asshole. Hey, don't piss me off. You yelled at me earlier and now you're telling me not to piss you off? I'll tell my parents that I'll stay in a hotel with them and you can do whatever you want for the next 3 days starting Friday. I'm going to take Amy and go sightseeing in Tokyo with my parents. You stay here by yourself. Wait a minute, what about my food? You're on your own. What? You can't do it? Wow, that's impossible. All men nowadays can cook for themselves, but you can't even do that? Shut up, of course I can do that. Then there's nothing wrong with it. My husband looked frustrated but didn't say anything. Then I took my daughter and joined my parents. Both my parents and my daughter enjoyed sightseeing in Tokyo. During that time, I received many calls and messages from my husband, but I ignored them. After staying at a hotel with my parents for the next 3 days, I never returned home. I flew with my parents and daughter to my parents' house. In fact, before I left home, I sent my daughter and my belongings to be delivered to my parents' house 3 days later. And I left the divorce papers on the table. When my husband came home from work, he must have seen it and called me several times. When I called him from my parents' house, he was very angry. But when he found out that I was already at my parents' house, he realized that I was serious and he was speechless. After that, I communicated with him through my lawyer. I demanded a divorce and asked for alimony for the mental distress caused by the harassment and child support. I had secretly recorded my husband's harsh words. This became evidence and the claim for alimony was approved. My lawyer was very good at what he did. I was able to get a divorce without any problems and get more alimony than I had expected. By the way, my ex-husband had to pay the alimony on top of the house loan, and he had almost no money left for living expenses. I also had been paying all the bills at home with my income, which I no longer do. Now that I'm at my parents' house with their support, I am able to focus on work even more. I am now able to earn the same amount of money as my ex-husband. It's ironic that my ex-husband's life is harder and I'm richer because of the divorce. I've blocked my ex-husband's contact, so I don't know how he's doing since then. At the rate he's going, he'll probably have to give up the house. Not that it matters to me anymore. On the other hand, I am at home, stress-free, working and spending lots of time with my daughter. I was able to move here just before my daughter started elementary school. so she has no trouble making friends and seems to have made some good ones. I will continue to work hard to earn money and watch my daughter grow up. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like. See you in the next video.